Let's keep on with the front suspension of the X1, the most complex part of the car. These are the carbon A-arms of the car, and I have to put the inserts into the big holes. And it's interesting how the inserts are fixed. They are fixed with a rubber band on the backside. I haven't seen such an installation before. Here is the final result. The next step is about the sway bar installation. I have to press ball ends into the plastic parts, which is sometimes quite difficult because it's very hard to get them in, but when they are in, they are very smooth and everything fits perfectly together, at least. The lower A-arms are also already prepared. On the lower A-arms, backstops are installed. These backstops have a dedicated length, and I measure here the length with an iPhone app because I did not find a ruler. So why not use an app? The backstops are to reduce the steering angles, and they are fully adjustable. I use the standard setup according to the manual. First page done. Let's move on. Now I can put the A-arms to the chassis. The A-arms sit on the orange anodized spacers, which define the ride height and the wall center. And here is the result. For the next step, I must decide whether I want to build the shock with the long shaft or the short shaft. The long shaft is for low grip and the short for high grip, so I will build the option with the short shock. On this plate you can also mount the servo if you want to use the servo as a floating servo. Furthermore, the top plate for the sway bar mounts is built. On these two plates, in the next step, the bushings for camber and for caster adjustings are placed. I use here, once again, the initial setup according to the manual as a good starting point. It's quite tricky to put the small bushings into the carbon parts, and you have to be sure to put them to the right direction, not that you have left and right different settings. But I think at the end I could manage it. Furthermore, all A-arms are now fixed to the chassis. But that's not all yet. The next step is to prepare the sway bar. Yeah, the next page and the final front assembly. Here I have to mount the sway bar and after that to check if everything runs free. Seems so, and here you can see the maximum travel of the suspension. Now we have to add the steering blocks, which is the last but trickiest part of the front suspension. You have three steering point adjustments. Number one is the initial setting, which I use. It's for a car which is easier to drive. Number two has improved steering response, and number three improved overall steering of the car. So it will be in future very interesting to play with these settings. The next step is to add these steering blocks to the front suspension, and here they use many shims. So I have the shaft which holds the whole steering block. The shaft is fixed on top and at the end with an E-clip. So, and to put the shaft into the upper A-arms, I have to add before 2 shims. Then the steering block comes between the upper and lower A-arm. And above the steering block I have to add 5 shims, and below the steering block I have to add 1 shim. And when I manage to push the shaft through all the shims and the steering block, on the lower side of the A-arm I have to add the small spring. Below the spring additional shim, and then I have to fix everything with the E-clip. And with these shims, the number of the shims, I can adjust the front ride height. Additionally, I have to put some shock oil to the shaft, that we have some kind of damping here and not only a spring. You saw already the bottle I use here, as I see here with the screwdriver, 20,000 weight shock oil. And finally, here's the result. You can see how the suspension works and how it moves. Now I have to repeat everything for the other side, and here's the final front suspension. See you in the next video where I build the rear suspension.